Retirement was supposed to be the reward for a lifetime of hard work. At least that's what I believed for more than 40 years. I kept telling myself that one day everything would finally slow down and life would feel easier. But there's something about retirement that nobody really talks about. And I didn't understand it until one quiet morning when I woke up in my house and realized the life I had prepared for wasn't the life I expected. My name is Walter Hayes. I'm 74 years old and I spent most of my life living just outside Knoxville, Tennessee. For 43 years, I worked as a maintenance supervisor at a distribution warehouse. It wasn't glamorous work, but it was steady. Every morning my alarm clock rang at 5:30, and without thinking I'd get up, pour a cup of coffee, and start getting ready for the day. At the time, that routine felt normal. But looking back now, I realized something important. That routine didn't just organize my day. It organized my identity. For decades, I knew exactly who I was. I was the guy people called when something broke. I was the one solving problems and keeping things running. People depended on me. For years, I told myself the same thing a lot of working people say: just hold on until retirement. In my mind, retirement meant freedom. No alarm clocks, no long shifts. I imagined peaceful mornings and long afternoons doing whatever I wanted. And when the day finally arrived, it felt incredible. I still remember my last day at work. The guys gathered in the break room. Someone brought donuts. My manager shook my hand and thanked me for my years of service. Driving home that afternoon, I believed them. After more than 4 decades of working, I felt like I had finally earned the right to slow down. And at first, retirement felt exactly the way I imagined. The first few weeks felt like a vacation I had been waiting for my entire life. I slept later than I had in years. I drank my coffee slowly on the porch while the sun rose over the neighborhood. Some mornings I would sit there for nearly an hour just enjoying the stillness. But then something slowly started to change. At first I couldn't even explain what it was. The feeling crept in quietly, almost like a small shift in the atmosphere of my days. At first it was subtle, almost too small to notice unless you paid attention. The routine that once felt relaxing started feeling slightly uncertain. I would finish my morning coffee and realize the day was still stretching far ahead of me. The mornings began to feel longer than they ever had before during my working years. When I was working, mornings moved quickly because there was always something that needed to get done. The afternoons started feeling strangely empty in a way that was difficult to describe. When I was working, afternoons were usually busy with tasks and conversations that filled the hours, and the quiet in my house started feeling heavier than it ever had before. The same silence that once felt peaceful began to feel almost overwhelming. One afternoon, I was sitting in my living room with the television on, but the strange thing was, I wasn't really watching it. The TV was just making noise in the background so the room wouldn't feel completely silent. And that's when I realized something nobody had warned me about before retirement. The silence of retirement can sometimes be louder than the noise of work. When you spend decades working every day, the constant activity becomes the background of your life. When you spend 40 years working, you're surrounded by people every day without even thinking about it. Co-workers walk past your desk and conversations happen constantly. Someone is always stopping to ask a question, share a quick joke, or talk about something that happened during the shift. But retirement changes that almost overnight in ways you don't expect. One day you're part of the daily rhythm of the workplace, and the next day that rhythm continues without you. Your co-workers move on with their routines because life keeps moving forward for everyone. They still show up in the morning and deal with the same problems. Your workplace continues without you in a way that feels both normal and strange at the same time. The machines keep running, the doors still open every morning, and new people slowly take on the roles others once had. And suddenly the conversations that filled your day disappear. The casual chats in the hallway and the jokes shared during lunch breaks are gone. The silence that replaces those moments can feel unfamiliar. At first you think it's temporary, and that everything will settle into a new routine soon. You tell yourself that retirement just takes time to adjust to, but then something else starts happening that you can't ignore. Small signs begin appearing that remind you how different life has become. Little moments make you realize how much your daily routine has changed. Your phone stops ringing as often as it used to during your working years. Calls that once came regularly become fewer and farther between. Days sometimes pass without hearing from anyone outside your home. That was the moment when another realization hit me more clearly than before. It wasn't dramatic, but it was enough to make me pause and think. The truth had been slowly revealing itself the entire time. Work doesn't just give you a paycheck at the end of the week. It gives you purpose, routine, and connection. It gives you a place where people expect you to show up and be part of something larger than yourself. And when that connection disappears, the quiet becomes something different. The silence no longer feels relaxing the way it once did. Instead, it reminds you how full your days used to be. Some mornings I would wake up and sit at the edge of my bed asking myself a question I had never asked before. I would look around the quiet room and realize there was nothing urgent waiting for me. And that thought would linger longer than I expected. What exactly am I supposed to do today? For decades, I never needed to ask that question. But retirement removes that schedule overnight. Some days I stayed in my pajamas longer than I should have. And that's when another thought entered my mind. When your job disappears, a piece of your identity disappears with it. For most of my life, if someone asked who I was, the answer was simple. I work maintenance at the warehouse. That answer meant something, but retirement changes that. And one quiet afternoon while sitting at my kitchen table, a question entered my mind that I never expected to ask. Do people still need me the way they used to? That was a difficult thought to admit. But the truth is, retirement can sometimes make you feel invisible. I remember turning on the television some evenings just so the house wouldn't feel so quiet. And that's when another realization slowly started to form. Nobody prepares you for the emotional side of retirement. People spend years planning the financial side, savings, pensions, investments. And that's when I understood something important. What I was feeling wasn't failure, it was adjustment. Just like it took years to adjust to the rhythm of working life, it takes time to adjust to the rhythm of retirement. Once I realized that, something started to change inside me. I began looking at my days differently. I started taking morning walks around my neighborhood. I started talking to neighbors I had barely known before. I spent more time with my grandchildren whenever I had the chance. None of those things replaced the life I had before, but they helped me build something new. And that's something I wish more people understood about retirement. Feeling lost sometimes doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It simply means you're learning how to live a new chapter of life. If you're watching this and you're already retired, or maybe retirement is just around the corner, if you've ever sat in a quiet house and wondered what comes next, you're not alone. Many people go through this transition. Sometimes hearing someone else say it out loud can make all the difference, because retirement isn't the end of your story. It's just the beginning of a chapter that takes time to understand. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear about your experience. Share your story or your thoughts in the comments, because someone reading it might realize they're not the only one feeling this way. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more real stories like this. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and remember that every stage of life still has something meaningful to teach us.